Hi, thanks for joining us. This clip was made possible by the Olmos Pharmacy, by Spacetone Music, Lark Guitars, and the Tube Amp Man.
Welcome back. We're here at Olmos Pharmacy, where it's a pub and diner, and so you may hear sounds of milkshake going on.
They're making my chocolate shake. Right
They're making
now,
the chocolate shake. That's right. That's right. So, anyway, welcome back. We're here with David Grissom. You had mentioned something. Well, and I hear this in everything that you do, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about it, especially as we remember Paco de Lucia, who passed recently, and for me as a jazz guy, so I'm mostly known as a jazz musician. You know, that was seminal. That was a seminal period back then. Not only just for me growing up, but at that same time when Al Di Meola and John McLaughlin and Paco come out, you know, that was mind blowing. It was groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about tradition, because everything that I hear from you has that right in the middle. It feels as though you start at a place, and then we're at the modern spot of Texas guitar playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, to me, tradition is a jumping off point.
Yeah.
And I have never, I mean, I've just never had the desire to imitate somebody else to
Sure.
the point of ridiculousness. Yeah, you know, I mean, since Stevie
living down
died, there
here,
are thousands
legions
of guitar players that are
Yeah.
who you can't tell one from the other, that are really that are basically
Yeah.
riffing on what he
Just-
did. And,
yeah, exactly.
And the key missing point there is that Stevie took Buddy Guy, Albert King, Lightning Hopkins, and made his
Lonnie
own
Mac.
thing.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, I mean, to me, tradition is a jumping off point. And part of it is, I'd love to say that since the day I picked up the guitar, I had this grand plan, but that's obviously not the case for most people, and that
Sure.
wasn't for me.
Sure.
I started out sort of trying to learn from players who I really liked their playing, but I grew up in Kentucky through high school. There was no music scene there to speak of whatsoever, so I would hear my father playing like Waylon Jennings records, and there would be one song like "Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line." Wayne Moss played this guitar solo in it, this really country thing that would really influence me. I'd hear Doc Watson and Norman Blake play at a bluegrass festival. Joe Pass would come through. I'd hear him, and then I'd go see all the Southern rock bands that that came through Louisville, which was kind of a stopover gig, back in the day. I mean, bands would come, the same bands like, ZZ Top would come through 4 times in a year sometimes. But, and I also had one of my very first guitar teachers turn me on to B.B. King, Magic Sam, Paul Butterfield, and all that. So I was grabbing things at will, randomly, and now I think one of the things that's really, it's amazing that the internet's out there, that guitar players can go look up on YouTube and find out how to play any lick, or how does he do this, how does he do that. There was so much mystery back then that I had to figure it out on my own, by putting the needle on the record.
Sure.
But also, there wasn't this incessant, constant negative chatter about what's cool, what's not cool. And so there's this army of people on the internet now that are sort of, most of whom have never played a gig, that are telling other people that are enthused about music like that. This sucks, that sucks. If you like this, you're obviously not cool. I wasn't burdened with any of that. So nobody told me I couldn't mix in the idea of like these Norman Blake runs through a Marshall and a PRS. And so I just went, with music that had soul, that touched me, and and then I was lucky enough when I got to Texas to work with a lot of great artists who, especially Joe Ely, who encouraged me to do my thing in no uncertain terms. And there were a lot of people in the early years with Joe who, constantly were saying, well, he's okay, but he's no Jesse Taylor, or, that the band's ruined now with him. And Joe was like,
Sure.
you know, screw all those people, man.
Yeah.
Do your thing. And I think, you know, the stuff we did together holds up over time. And I'm, you know, but that was an amazing period that allowed me to really develop my own thing.
Yeah,
And,
that must have been really hard. How old were you at that time?
I think
When
I
you
was
started playing?
23.
23 years old,
Yeah.
and you have to go and fill somebody's shoes.
Yeah.
You know, I know guys here, we hear guys, not just here, but everywhere, and they'll play all kinds of stuff. But it never sounds like them. You know, it doesn't have that thing where it's like, well, I hear the notes, I hear the, you know, I hear the dots on a page, but I don't hear.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's you know, it's also you've got, it's a, you know, I don't know the answer. I don't know how you do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the, you know. All I know is that I just sort of followed my own deal, and had sort of this way of when I was starting out of practicing, where I would just literally, you know, I would just play a lot.
Yeah.
And I would stumble upon various things from time to time.
Yeah.
They were like light bulb moments, you
Yeah.
know, whether it'd be some sort of technique that I end up making a pivotal part of what I have that grew into, you know, and these things still happen for me.
Well,
which is
it's when you're trying to do this other thing and you don't know how, and so you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it may not be that thing.
Yeah.
It now becomes your thing.
Yeah.
I was. Here's a story about how arrogant a son of a bitch I can be. My car is old, so it still has a cassette deck, right? And so I'm cleaning up, and I find a cassette of Tal Farlow from 1969.
Yeah.
So I go in my car and I throw it in the deck, and I forget about it. Go back to cleaning, which is also very unusual for me. Cleaning. So the next time I'm in my car, I'm driving around. I'm listening to the radio. I'm thinking, man, who is that? Who's taking all my shit? You know? And then I stole it all from him. You know? And there's a sense of that when a respect, an honor, a thing that, oh yeah, I forgot about this tape that I wore out. Mm-hmm. You know, I've gone through all these other things. It was just another one that was there that, oh, that was the lick. This is where I took it from. And I start to think, I've never had an original idea in my life, you know, because I'm taking all this other stuff. Tradition is big. You know, we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Well, I can tell you that one of the reasons I was really attracted to playing a PRS early on was that nobody else was playing them.
Sure.
You know, when I moved to Austin, I had a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And everybody in town played a Stratocaster. And after I'd been in Austin about a month, I was at some after-hours party somewhere in somebody's backyard, 4 o'clock in the morning, and some guy that happened to be kind of a local mover and shaker in the music scene, I got introduced to him, and he said, you know, what kind of guitar do you play? And I said, a Strat. And he said, well, that's good, because if you don't play a Strat, you ain't shit. And I woke up the next morning, and I kind of remembered that conversation, and I thought to myself, I need to get a new guitar.
Yeah.
And
there you
so, you know, the sort of the PRS was a blank canvas. You know, the book hadn't been written on it.
Yeah.
If I pick up a Strat, I play differently. And
Sure.
and
You have to.
It's
It
know,
dictates.
I still sound like me, and I can make it sound that way. But I just can't resist the temptation to play certain things that I grew up that are textbook. You know,
Absolutely.
Guitar.
Yeah.
Licks, riffs, whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, that somewhere along the, you know, tradition is absolutely necessary, just as are fundamentals when you're talking about learning music and learning to play the guitar. For me, it is a jumping off point, and I'm really not interested in being an archivist. I want to keep moving forward, and you know, I have the greatest respect for the music and the tradition, but you know, I'm going to just do what I do what I do, and that's, you know, as hard as the business is now with, you know, people don't really buy CDs anymore. The flip side, which I try to focus on and choose to focus on, are all the positive things. Like I can put out records on my own, which means I can put whatever I want on my record, and I don't have to fall into a specific genre.
No.
And you know, it's been really liberating, and I just try to keep integrity, the same integrity and quality and consistency throughout all of that stuff. I'm not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. I definitely think about it, you know. So.
Sure. Well, so what are you going to play for us now?
I'm going to play, if my allergies will allow me, I'm going to
Sure.
play this song called Bringing Sunday Morning to Saturday Night.
Oh, love it.
Lightning Hopkins lighting up the third ward. Tell a deep story with a low down chord. Preaching the gospel, playing by his own set of rules. Lightning change when lightning wanna change. Send Billy G that home on the range, passing it down that wide highway of blues. They were bringing Sunday morning to Saturday night, Sunday morning to Saturday night, testifying, letting the good times roll.
Come on.
Feeling righteous ain't no sin. Might as well let Sunday morning begin. Sarah Vaughan, John Coltrane, redefining my favorite things, searching for truth in sheets of sound. Ralph Stanley, B.B. King, sliding across 6 strings, a little bit of heaven down here on the ground. They were bringing Sunday morning to Saturday night, Sunday morning to Saturday night, testifying, letting the good times roll. Feeling righteous ain't no sin. Might as well let Sunday morning begin. The Universal Church of Music and Light, sweet redemption on Saturday night. Message of love keeps on lifting me higher. They were bringing Sunday morning to Saturday night, Sunday morning to Saturday night, testifying, letting the good times roll. Feeling righteous ain't no sin. Might as well let Sunday morning begin. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They were bringing Sunday morning to Saturday night, Sunday morning to Saturday night, Sunday morning to Saturday night. They were bringing Sunday morning to Saturday night.
Amen. Amen.
Hi, thanks for joining us. This clip was made possible by the Olmos Pharmacy, by Space Tone Music, by Lark Guitars, and the Tube Amp Man.